Welcome to Sought Afters with Sonita, and today I'll be showing you 5 ways to overcome fear of marriage. Things that I applied to my own life and yielded results. First, how do you even know you have fear of marriage? These are the two common ways people react to fear of marriage. I'm Kate, and my friend Tita here wants to kill herself because of a man. No, I don't want to die. What's the difference? You have abandoned your career, your faith, your friends, even your family because of a man. You're not just sleeping with him, but you have accepted to get pregnant for him just so that he should marry you. What's the difference between that and dying? This is not Uzita. You have just become a shadow of yourself. You are not just sleeping with him against your standards, but you've got to the point of accepting to get pregnant for him just so that he can marry you. But I love him. He's a good man. And besides, it's not easy to have a husband these days. What? This thing you're saying is total nonsense. So far as I'm concerned, men are scum, men are evil. All men are the younger brothers of Satan. Why? I would never allow any man control my life. I cannot trust a man. I cannot sacrifice anything whatsoever because of the so-called marriage. Boss lady like me, what is it in a man that I'm sacrificing for? That is if at all I'll get married. Even if I eventually get married, I will never let a man give me instructions. I cannot take orders from a man. We are equal rights. So no need. I cannot come and be taking orders from somebody that even have a higher IQ. That they know that most women reason things faster than men. But according to the Bible, when you get married, your husband is supposed to be your head and your leader, right? Even in marriage, I cannot take instruction from a man. Men are scum. Men are evil. They can stain your white. What? These are reactions to fear of marriage. The people see marriage like a threat to their life. They are afraid that marriage will harm them, marriage will endanger them, will make them vulnerable to some sort of harm. They tend to be aggressive. They want to be on the oppressive side, planning ways to protect themselves from the harm that past experiences and their exposure to bad marriages have caused in their minds. And the other people who overestimate marriage, they see marriage as something so great they cannot achieve without letting go of every other important thing in their life. They tend to over-sacrifice. They tend to give up things that should not be given up because of marriage. They tend to lie too low. They develop an inferiority complex towards marriage. And they give more than what they should give just in order to get married. They'll be suffocating in pain and misery, all sorts of violence, and they'll never say a word simply because they see marriage to be a bitter pill that they must swallow. No. Marriage is not a bitter pill for you to swallow and be suffocating under. Marriage is not a battlefield that you're going to fight with your partner to show him that you're stronger or to show her that you're stronger. Marriage should be a union of two growing people ready to support one another, fulfill their life purpose while giving glory to the God and experiencing fulfillment individually and corporately. It's not a situation where when one person is winning, another is losing. It's a situation where the two win together. So if you fail to look at marriage in this light, you have fear of marriage. And you react by fighting or by becoming a pushover just to make things work. I actually reacted to fear of marriage in my own life in these two ways at different times. Growing up as a child, I lived in different homes, much so that by the age of 15, I had already lived in 5 different homes. And most of the marriages I saw in those homes gave me a very negative and traumatic mindset about marriage. I saw marriage to be like an enslavement to women. And that was the mindset that I had between childhood and 20s. So within that age, I had that fighting spirit within me. I decided in my mind that I would not marry. And even if I eventually marry, I'll be so stubborn that no man will be able to suppress me. Now in my early 20s, I became more committed in my Christian work. I started reading scriptures, reading a lot of books about marriage. And I learned a few things about marriage, some of which was the fact that it's the will of God for me to marry. And as a wife, I am supposed to submit to my husband. What I learned as submission at that point was not even balance. Also, the negative mindset I had about men had not yet changed. So I flipped from the other reaction of being aggressive to the other reaction of being a pushover. At that point, I made up my mind that I will marry. And if the man maltreats me, I'll do nothing. I will say nothing. I will stay under all the maltreatment. I will not even open my mouth and say a word. In fact, I did not learn submission. I learned suppression. What I learned gave me the impression that it is wrong to even voice your opinion. And I was now seeing marriage like a bitter pill that I have to eventually swallow as a Christian woman and be suffocating with it, no matter how painful it will be. And so I had all this roller coaster of emotions about marriage until I was able to overcome that fear of marriage. It was not a day's thing, but it was a process. God used various ways that I am going to be sharing with you today for you to know how to overcome fear of marriage. The first step I took in overcoming this fear was that I discovered the truth. I discovered the truth from God's word that set me free. I discovered that there is no fear in love and that perfect love casts out fear. I came to realize that if truly marriage is about love, I will not have to be afraid that I will be submitted under my husband, not suppressed under my husband. There is a difference. I also saw in 2 Timothy 1 verse 7 that God has not given me a spirit of timidity, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. The key thing for me was the fact that the spirit that I am carrying has both power and love in that same spirit. So if I'm carrying this spirit with me into marriage, it means that I'm going into marriage with power and with love. So love cannot function well without power, which means that in my journey of being submitted under my husband, I'm not going to lose power. Like we saw in the illustration, how Zita lost all her power, all her standards. She's ready to do even things that do not give God glory, just in order to be submitted under a man that she's not even married to. The painful one is that ladies even get into this state, even when they are not even yet married to their man. You're ready to cross your boundaries, leave your standards, just so that the person should marry you. No, that is not love. That is suppression and oppression, and you're becoming a doormat, a pushover, not a lover to the person. Love should respect you for who you are. You should still possess the power of being you. Where do you draw the line between sacrifice and power in a relationship? Draw the line where God asks you to draw it. Do whatever scriptures instruct you to do while in a relationship, and do not cross the line to start doing what scriptures do not instruct you to do. In order to overcome, the first step is for you to accept this truth. Accept that it is possible for you to have marriage and have power at the same time. Men are not scum. There are men out there and there is scum out there. God has given you as a woman the right to choose between scum and men, which one you'll marry. And as a guy too, you have scum girls out there, you have good women out there. It's for you to choose. The key is in choosing. That is why God has not imposed on us. We'll be talking more on the will of God in my next video. So you choose who you can submit to. And brother, choose the lady that you can allow her to help you freely without suppressing her, because you already saw in her what you want. Don't go and choose one of the things that you need to be suppressing. And don't choose a man that you already see that is an oppressor girl. Go for somebody that will fan the flame of the beauty and strength in you to grow. Because a good marriage has people that are both powerful and in love, individually and corporately. Nobody has to be suppressed and nobody has to be fighting the other. The second thing that helped me overcome this fear was that I discovered my daddy. This one is the best for me. I like talking about it. And mind you, I said I discovered my daddy. I did not say I discovered my father. I've always known God is my father. But there came a point in my life when I realized that God is my daddy. There is a difference. A father is the one that just brought you forth. But your daddy is the one that is concerned about you. There is an emotional relationship between you and him. Your pain is his pain. He is mindful of your business. He's protecting you. Your provision is his business. I discovered that I am God's personal business. He is so interested in my welfare. I saw this very clearly in Deuteronomy 32 verse 10, where God said that he has lavished so much love on me to the point that he has made me the apple of his eye. The apple of his eye means that if you want to get to me, you first of all get to him. One of the reasons why I was having all these fears of marriage, because I felt vulnerable and helpless. Knowing now that God is my daddy, God is my father, he's in charge, and also knowing that he is the one that has instructed me to marry, I have no fear left. I know that if he can instruct me to marry, it means that he has a good plan for me in that marriage. And I'm not even going there like a vulnerable person. I'm going there like God's own daughter. So I'm pitying by the man I'm married if he chooses not to be good to me. Because if he chooses not to be good to me, he'll be in trouble with his father-in-law. Because he's touching the apple of God's eye. So as for me, I'm safe and secure. I will not be trying to fight for power and right to prove a point, because it's obvious, it's clear. Do you know my daddy? And I will not need to go and just lie low for the sake of peace. Because what? What am I afraid of? This is not a call for violence in marriage. It is a situation where you're ready and vulnerable to always go back to him and cry that this marriage stuff, I don't get it at this point. Help me. Expecting help. And you certainly will receive it. I have been receiving it starting from the beginning of getting a husband to even my day-to-day living in the marriage. And mind you, the best thing to do is to also go in with somebody who has the same daddy like you, so that the two of you will be working on the same principles. And there will be no need for fights. There will be no need for another person to be oppressed. You will not be suffocating in pain and then only accepting everything just for the sake of peace. No, it is submission, not suppression. In submission, you decide to let another person lead you because you know it's the right thing for you to do. But in suppression, you let another person have his way with you because you have no choice. When God is your daddy, you will be submitted out of obedience to God willingly. The third way to overcome this fear of marriage is to focus on the benefits of marriage. People who fear marriage look more at the negative sides. They look at the responsibility and then they exaggerate it. As if that is not enough, they now look at the bad examples of marriages that have happened. They go and dig out all kinds of evil social media stories. They'll hear stories of heartbreak. They watch movies of bad marriages. They crowd their minds with information about how bad marriages are, and they do not put their attention on any benefits of marriage. If you have this chronic fear of marriage, focus your attention on the benefits of marriage. Scriptures give us so many benefits, especially in marriage with Jesus involved. A cord of 3 strands cannot be easily broken. One will chase 1,000, two will chase 10,000. Together, you will produce godly seed that will lead the next generation. When one lie down alone, they cannot be warm. But when two lie down together, they will certainly be warm. When you get married, especially to the right person, you begin to have a greater sense of direction and purpose. You receive even favor for being married. Another big benefit of marriage is the fact that that is the only way we can even build a good society. If we focus on building good marriages, we'll end up raising godly children that will build a better society. So remove your mind from all the toxic ideas that you feed your mind on daily. So that is how I got rid of the toxic examples of marriages I saw in my childhood. I started focusing on the good ones. This brings me to the fourth point of how I got my healing from this fear. I witnessed a good marriage. Around my third year in the university, I'll go to my mentor's house weekly for Bible studies, but I'll end up spending more time than just the time we spend doing the studies there. And during the period, my mentor, Mommy Mary, was not well. And I observed how her husband took care of her. I saw how a man who come back from work, do laundry, check on his wife, check if the children are okay, and so on and so forth. I saw him do house chores lovingly and willingly. Then I asked myself, why would I refuse myself this privilege to be taken care of? I realized that at some point in my life, I might not be so strong, I might be sick or just tired, and I want somebody to also take care of me like that. This particular experience of observing him within that period of time changed my view of men and therefore changed my emotions towards men. It made me to start seeing men as loving and caring, not as wicked and selfish as before. So from then henceforth, I started being excited about the idea and the thought of marriage to a point that I even started getting desperate to get married as fast as possible. I remember sharing that. You can see it in one of my videos. Expose yourself to good marriages. Just interact with people that have good marriages. That way you overcome your fear of marriage and you'll not be overly defensive or overly passive. And the last step is prayerfully taking fearless choices. Knowing all of these things is very great, but to be intentionally taking fearless choices on a daily basis is the real deal. It is possible to always find yourself in a situation where you know this is the right thing to do, but fear is giving you another option. Prayerfully take fearless choices. If you are afraid of getting married and you're having a suitor, you hear fear telling you to just get rid of the man because you don't want anything that will cause you trouble. Pray and tell yourself, talk to yourself, preach to yourself. I preach to myself more than how I preach to any other person. Tell yourself that I will not take the decision of fear. Pray and ask God to help you take a decision of faith. When it comes to fear, you don't go praying that, oh Lord, help me to be fearless. The best way to pray in situations of fear is that, Lord, help me to take this step which is fearless instead of this other step which is fearful. And while you're praying at that, be taking the necessary step. Whenever that fearful thought can, preach a message of faith to yourself. Tell yourself that the spirit that lives in you is not a spirit of timidity. It is a spirit of power and of love. And so you can go into marriage with both power and love at the same time. You will not be afraid to be suppressed. Both of you are acting in courage and respect for one another. It is only fear that will tell you to fight your partner, because fear makes you see him like an enemy. And it is only fear that will tell you to become a doormat. Fear tricks you into thinking that if you just open your mouth, you will die. And that is what makes some women go through a lot of domestic violence in marriage to the point of even dying. But what the Bible says about submission in 1 Peter 3 verse 6 is that you should submit yourself to your husband and you should not give any room to fear. Submission is not fear. Submission is courage subdued under love. As a guy, you so love your partner and exhort her because you already know she is weak and you know you are strong. If for any reason you find out that you want to suppress somebody, know that you are afraid and you are the one fighting for self-defense, which is unnecessary. Overcome your fears so that you create a good ground for marriage to thrive in power and in love. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I pray that you have a great marriage either now or in future as the Lord permits. Share this video, like and recommend to others if it blessed your life. Bye.